Welcome to Cartagena, one of South America's most enchanting walled cities. We're going to show you what it's like visiting and retiring in the old town, El Centro, surrounded by 500 years of living history. Whether you're planning your next vacation or considering this Caribbean paradise as your retirement destination, this video will fill in a lot of blanks. El Centro, it's a lot like Casco Viejo in Panama City, but way larger.
Hi friends, welcome back to Laptop Seniors. As Pat mentioned, we are taking you inside the walled city of El Centro, Cartagena today. Now, if you're anything like us, you want to know a little something or maybe a lot about the places you're going to travel to, and especially if you're considering a place for retiring. And today you're going to see us walking through El Centro. It's not going to be just highlights. This is going to be an in-depth walk through the streets, see some of the shops and restaurants, and all there is to discover.
What you're seeing around us is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It epitomizes Spanish colonial power in the Americas. These walls, built between 1586 and 1796, once protected the most important port in the entire Spanish Empire. This is where all the money came from. The fortifications stretch for 11 kilometers and have withstood pirate attacks, foreign invasions, and as you can see, the test of time. Cartagena's top attractions: Plaza de Armas, the 1575 Cathedral, Palace of the Inquisition, Las Bovedas shops, clock tower, and Plaza Santo Domingo with its crazy bronze sculptures.
If you want to know the best time to visit, dry season is from December to April, and temperatures reach about 84 degrees during the day. And let me tell you, in mid-afternoon, that sun is hot and it's shining bright. However, if you decide to go in wet season, you're going to experience afternoon showers, typically not rain all day, but you're also going to experience lower prices, fewer tourists, and there could be big benefits to that.
Let's start out by being a tourist and what you can expect. First off, it's not cheap compared to Colombia overall. This is probably the most expensive part, basically, as a tourist that you're going to be in if you're in Cartagena. A quality hotel in El Centro, it's $100 to $300 a night, and even more, depending on where you are. Meals at the tourist restaurants, they can range from $15 to $40 per person, but for the most part, you're not going to be around that $15 range. Street food, local eateries though, $3 to $8 a meal. Museums are pretty cheap. Museum entry somewhere between $3 and $8, depending on which one it is. And a horse carriage tour, they're pretty cool, $30 to $50 an hour.
So to get a feel for daily life in El Centro, you're going to see sort of a slower pace of life, a lot of smaller vendors, street vendors, and it's generally relaxed. And we found that in the afternoon, it was quiet. I think when it gets really hot and the sun comes out, people tend to be inside or shady, but people were very friendly with each other. Obviously, those who live there and work there are a pretty tight-knit community.
For the housing options, first off, you're not seeing tall condos. You know, the high-rise buildings, they pretty much don't exist here. It's colonial homes, and they range from modest apartments to luxury mansions. Many buildings are protected historical property, so renovations require a lot of special permits. Now you're going to find restored colonial houses with courtyards, modern apartments in converted historical buildings, so it looks historical, except when you get inside it doesn't. It looks really spiffy. Rooftop terraces with Caribbean sea views, and traditional Spanish architecture with high ceilings and very thick walls.
El Centro to us seemed like a more upscale neighborhood than many. And I'm sure you want to know, what does it cost to live here and have a pretty nice life?
Let's break out a monthly budget for two people. The rent's going to be somewhere between $800 and $1,500. That'd be a nice two-bedroom apartment in El Centro. Utilities, electricity, water, internet, 120 to 150 bucks. Groceries, $450 to $600. Shopping malls and shopping markets. A lot of the stuff is tiendas, small ones. Transportation, taxis, occasional trips outside the walls, $75 to $150. This is U.S. money. Healthcare insurance, $200 to $400 per month for 2 people. And then there's the miscellaneous, entertainment, shopping, personal items. This actually could be zero, but typically it's going to probably be between somewhere in $300 to $500, somewhere in that range.
And as part of the cost of living here, what does it cost to rent a place in El Centro?
In the walled city, 1-bedroom apartment, $600 to $1,000 a month. 2-bedroom apartment, $800 to $1,500 a month. For a colonial house, $1,200 to $3,000 per month. Now, if you have a furnished apartment, it's near the waterfront or you can see the waterfront, sometimes double the rates of unfurnished properties in less central areas like maybe Manga. Now, the comfortable range that you could probably figure on is $2,500 to $3,200. Somewhere in that range, you're going to have a pretty nice life. Roughly 40 grand a year all in for a good life. Total monthly budget for a single person, well, that's going to be different because some of the stuff drops off because there's only one person, like there's only one healthcare, only one person eating, one person groceries, restaurant, things like that. So it's going to be somewhere between $1,730 to $3,100. So you can be under $24,000 up to around, let's just say, $36,000 all in US dollars. You're definitely not pulling that off in the States or in Canada at that price. So what does this assume? This budget assumes a middle-class lifestyle where you're eating out regularly, you have good health care coverage, you can afford entertainment and activities, you aren't pinching every penny, you have a nicely furnished 2-bedroom apartment in the historic center, you shop at both local markets and modern supermarkets, you'd go out to the mall basically, you're going to dine at good restaurants several times a week, and have the financial freedom to enjoy what Cartagena offers without constantly worrying about costs. Okay, your mind is clear for that.
In Colombia, Medellin is more known for quality health care, but it's definitely good in Cartagena as well. There are a number of hospitals and clinics that are appealing to tourists coming in for medical procedures. So if people are traveling there to have things done, that must be pretty good too.
As Vivi mentioned, Colombia's healthcare system is good and it's affordable. Many retirees find quality care at a fraction of U.S. costs. If you want to see a specialist, $30 to $50. And comprehensive health insurance, that's available too, for $100 to $200 a month. So even taking on the high end, $200 a month, and that's like $2,400. You're under $2,500 for the year. Yeah, if you're in the States, that's like $8,000 to $10,000, to be able to pull that off.
Do you like what you've seen so far about the old walled city, or maybe some of the other parts of Cartagena or anywhere in Colombia? If the answer is yes, you might be thinking about booking a discovery trip yourself, but you definitely want to know what it takes to retire here. So we're going to tell you all about the requirements for that M11 retirement visa.
Visas, the retirement visa. Wow, let me go really slow on this. For Colombia, the pension visa, also known as the M11, it's a pretty nice visa. And here's what you need to qualify. You need a monthly pension income of at least $950 to $1,000 US dollars. Now that's going to fluctuate. That's why I said $950 to $1,000, because it's really in pesos, but that's what it comes out to be. And peso fluctuates, so therefore that US dollar amount is going to fluctuate. You also need the usual stuff: valid passport, health insurance that works in Colombia. Your home health insurance, Medicare, if you had that, it's not going to probably pay in Colombia, so you're going to need Colombian health insurance. There'll be a stickler on that. And a clean criminal background check. I mean, that kind of goes without saying, right? Now, for documents, you'll need your passport with at least 6 months left on it. Proof of your pension income, recent bank statements can actually help in that regard. And a criminal check, as we mentioned. Make sure it's apostille, that's being translated and certified. And bring some extra passport photos and visa application forms because you may mess them up or have to be redone again, and you may need definitely more passport photos than you assume. You'll pay processing fees. They're somewhere around $250 to $300. Again, fluctuating currency. And once you're approved, you'll get a temporary residency permit. And then after being there for 2 years, you can apply for the permanent residency. This is different than Panama, where you can get the permanent one kind of right out of the gate. It almost comes automatically with the temporary if you ask for it. All in all, though, it's still pretty simple to start your retirement in Colombia.
Like us, I'm sure you're used to the huge expat communities that we've shown you in Panama. But Colombia isn't quite there yet. However, it's growing. There are more and more Canadian, American, and European expats coming to settle in areas like Boca Grande and Manga.
El Centro has some pretty awesome restaurants, some of the best restaurants in all of Cartagena. La Cevicheria. This is mentioned a lot in travel guides. It's famous for fresh ceviche and seafood. It's small, casual, and consistently praised for anything that's related to fish. Carmen, high-end restaurant, also appears on the best of list for Cartagena, known for its different take on Colombian cuisine and local ingredients. It's considered one of the finest dining experiences in the Old Town. And finally, Alma. It's a refined establishment showcasing modern interpretations of Caribbean and Colombian flavors. The chefs there, they like to play. And that's to your benefit. They make some pretty cool stuff. Wondering about prices? Well, Alma is a higher end place, and here's the pricing in US dollars. I'm just converting it so you get an idea. Even still, it's not that much compared to being in North America. Top 5 hotels for some luxury. You're going to be spending some money here. Sofitel Legend, Santa Clara. This is built in 1621, so this thing is like 400 years old. It was originally a convent inhabited by Clarisas nuns. It overlooks Plaza de San Diego. One of the most luxurious and top hotels in Cartagena, if luxury is your thing, is Casa San Agustin. Hotel Quadrifoglio, Casa La Merced, and Bastion Luxury Hotel.
And now, we know you've been waiting for the pros and cons of the walled city. You definitely don't need a car in the walled city. This is a very walkable lifestyle with everything within 10 to 15 minutes by foot. There's a rich cultural life, constant festivals, music, and celebrations. I don't think the weather could be more perfect. It's a year-round tropical climate. This high-quality lifestyle is very affordable. The healthcare is good, reliable, and affordable. The tourist zone of the walled city is very well patrolled, so you can feel quite safe. Within the international community, it's very easy to meet like-minded expats. And with this weather and everyone being outdoors so much, you'll have no problem meeting people.
Let's go for the cons. Tourist crowds. High season, it's jammed, especially at night. Higher costs, premium pricing compared to other Colombian cities, especially even in Cartagena. This is the most expensive sort of area that you'd be in overall. Limited parking. Actually, I don't know if I saw any parking as we were walking around. Car ownership here is pretty much impractical to have. Unless, you're renting a home or something and somehow there's a garage there, then you got a shot, but other than that, not so much. Noise, again, as I mentioned, street life continues late into the evening, a lot of music, a lot of talking, it's loud. Hurricane season, occasionally you get a hurricane, severe weather. It's rare, but it is possible. The language barrier, Spanish definitely is helpful for daily life, although a lot of the people in the shops, they do English pretty well, actually, inside, the walled city, because it's a tourist destination. And finally, humidity. It does take an adjustment period for those of you from cooler climates if you move here. But then, pretty much if you go to anywhere in Central or South America, you're going to have to deal with that, assuming you're anywhere near the equator. Wow, a lot of information to take in on the walled city, El Centro in Cartagena. Pretty cool. It's a 500-year-old city that's been pretty much restored, so it looks great. It's very upscale, as we mentioned. There's a lot of good things going for it. Now, probably the question in your mind would be, well, should I live there? What's your opinion? Us, we wouldn't live there. We would never retire there. Shouldn't say never. Never is never a good word. But generally speaking, we wouldn't retire there for the same reason why I wouldn't want to retire anywhere near the Vegas Strip, or in the old town of Istanbul, or Casco Viejo in Panama City, despite loving Casco Viejo, loving Panama City, and loving Panama in general. You're in a tourist area, and what comes with that is more police presence, bonus, but also you're a target, so you're going to get more of the element that wants to prey on targets for, pickpocketing, for begging, for constantly asking you for money, and for other things. It's just best to, stay out of that. Plus, it's more expensive. We would go back again to Cartagena for a vacation, in a heartbeat. It was a complete surprise. The other thing about it is it's not very far from North America. Ground to ground from Panama City, it's only 45 minutes, and that entails, plane getting up to speed, slowing down to land, sitting on the tarmac with the engines running, all that stuff that they factor in. I would say probably flying from North America, coming in from the States or Canada, beyond Panama, you're going to be probably heading on, 20 minutes to the flight. So it's pretty close, just like Panama is close. This is pretty close too. So that's pretty cool. Now, some downsides that have been happening: violence in other parts of the country, and it seems like it's not cartel, which is good. Best way I could describe it, and I could be wrong on this, but it sort of seems like, you remember the Sandinistas that were in Nicaragua, 30 years ago? There was like a, kind of almost like the Cuban rebels that, with Castro that took over Cuba. Seems like there's a pocket of those groups, west portion over by Cali, and they were setting off bombs. People killed, people injured. I think it was 8 or 9 bombs that went off outside of Cali in that district. Long way from Cartagena, but it's something to consider. And also in Bogota, or just outside of Bogota, a guy who was running for the president of the country, a senator, he got shot. And, it wasn't just a grazing, he got shot, had to go into heavy surgery and things like that. So violence seems like there's an ebb and flow to it continually in Colombia, and right now, it's sort of ramping up. Maybe it'll go back down again, because it was good for a while. All that being said, for vacation, I'd go back to Cartagena again. You can't live your life in a shell. Anyway, okay, I'm rambling here now, so let me just put the cap on this baby here. We've hit that 20,000 subscriber mark. Thank you if you're one of those people who subscribe to the channel. That is fantastic. Super appreciated. And a couple more videos on Colombia and Cartagena coming up, different areas of the city and different things that I think that, you'd like to see, especially if you're going there for a vacation. So until those drop, see ya.